Well, hello. I'm Father Joe Gambala, pastor of St. Malachy, and it's with great sadness I'm doing this recording as the Lord has called our pontiff, Pope Francis, to his heavenly home. And so it's with deep sadness to say goodbye to a beautiful man, but knowing that when our day comes to arrive at the heavenly kingdom, we'll get to see him again. Pope Francis had a great effect on the church. He was a very humble man. When he became pontiff, he did not live in the papal palace, but instead lived in the guest house. And for his breakfast and his lunch, he went down to the employee cafeteria and just talked to regular folks and had their meals with them. He was very concerned about the poor and the downtrodden, and constantly reminded us that we have an obligation to look into the poorest of the poor and see the face of God present there, and then act accordingly. Do unto others as you would do unto you was a motto, not just something that the Pope would say, but something that he truly lived. But now he is with the Lord, and a new Pope must be chosen. So I'm going to give you a little history about what happens, how it's happened in the past, and how it's going to happen now. We know that our first pontiff, Peter, was chosen by Jesus himself. He said, "Peter, you are a rock, and upon this rock I will build my church." He was the first pope. He went to Rome. He ministered to the Christian community in the city of Rome in 40 different house churches. But then under Emperor Nero, he was arrested along with many of the Christians and were brutally put to death. Peter himself was crucified upside down. The city was burnt by Nero, and after a number of years, the Christians that had fled came back into the city and elected the next pope. His name was Linus. And that is how the popes began to be elected after that. The Christian community, the lay people, and the deacons and the priests would get together and pick out who they felt would be the next bishop and pray over that person, and he became the next bishop. And that's how it went on for almost 250 years. Now then came the Emperor Constantine, who legalized Christianity, and so the Christian church suddenly had much greater responsibilities. The tradition of electing the Pope then had a stipulation to it. The elected Pope had to be approved by the Emperor himself. The Emperor had to okay the election. That system continued on for hundreds of years. The people of Rome, the clergy and the people, would elect their pontiff when someone died, and that name was submitted to the emperor. By then, that emperor was living in Constantinople, which is modern-day Istanbul, and for the approval. And when the approval came from the emperor, well, then he would take his office as the Bishop of Rome and pontiff of the church. That system ended around the mid-700s, when what was the Eastern Roman Empire, where the emperor was, then called the Byzantine Empire, ceased to have any interaction with the city of Rome. So then the people of Rome went back to just continue to elect their pontiff and declare him the new pope. That situation went on for a while until it got to be, well, very unpleasant. Many of the wealthy families in Rome would quite literally go to battle with each other in the streets over who's going to win that election. And it was quite a scandal, and this couldn't be tolerated. So the church decided to elect a group of people called cardinals. And these cardinals had the duty of electing the next pope. Whenever the pope passed away, the cardinals will assemble in the Vatican, and they would sit and decide who the next pope would be. And that's the system that we have today. It's the cardinal system. They will come in what's called a conclave. They will meet at St. Peter's. For many centuries, they not only would meet in the Sistine Chapel, they would even sleep there. They would not leave the Sistine. It was locked, and they were in there until they decided who they were going to vote for. These days, they stay at hotels, but they drive in for the vote, and the vote still takes place at the Sistine Chapel. To let people know on the outside what's going on, they have a chimney attached to a stove. And if they have not decided yet after a day of voting, they send up the black smoke, and the black smoke says, we haven't decided yet. But when they have decided who the new pope would be, the straw is treated so that it would come up white. And once you see the white smoke, you know we have a pope, or that we say in Latin, habemus papam. And that's what is going to happen when the cardinals are currently now going off to Rome for the funeral and for the assembly for the vote. That's how we're going to know that we have a new pontiff to succeed Pope Francis. Thank you.